Alright, let's properly break down quadratic functions for higher maths. If you understand this, a massive chunk of the course becomes easier. A quadratic function looks like this. Y equals x squared plus bx plus c. There are three parts, and every one of them matters. First, a. The value of a controls the shape of the graph. If a is positive, the graph opens upwards. If a is negative, the graph opens downwards. The bigger the number, the steeper the curve. Small number, wider curve. That's it. No mystery. Now, C. C is the easiest mark in higher maths. It tells you where the graph crosses the y-axis. Why? Because when x equals 0, the equation becomes y equals c. So if c is 3, the graph crosses the y-axis at 3. Always label it ITC, basically free marks. Now let's talk about the most important part of quadratics. The turning point. The turning point is the maximum or minimum value of the graph. This is where the graph changes direction. To find the x-coordinate of the turning point, you use this formula. X equals minus b over 2a. You must memorize this. No shortcuts. No guessing. Once you find x, you substitute it back into the original equation to find y. That gives you the full turning point. In an exam, you should always write it as coordinates. For example, turning point at 2, minus 1. Now let's talk about intercepts. There are two types. The y-intercept we already covered. That's C. The x-intercepts are where the graph crosses the x at those points equals 0. So what do we do? We set the equation equal to 0. Ax al cuadrado más bx más c igual a 0. Then we solve it. You might factorize or use the quadratic formula or complete the square, depending on the question. If you get two answers, the graph crosses the x-axis twice. If you get one answer, the graph just touches it. If you get no real answers, the graph never crosses the x. That last one is very common in higher maths questions. Now let's talk about sketching, because this is where students lose silly marks. When sketching a quadratic, you should always show the shape up or down the turning point. The y-intercept. The x-intercepts, if they exist, even if it's not perfectly accurate, labels get marks. Examiners are not looking for art. They're looking for understanding. One last thing linking algebra to graphs. If you change A, the graph changes shape. If you change C, the graph moves up or down. If you change B, the turning point shifts sideways. Higher maths is about seeing patterns. Once you stop memorizing random steps and start understanding what changes what, it clicks. If t-selpet, pause the video. Try one example yourself. 10 come back. That's how you actually learn higher maths.